Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and today I'm here with Mette Reebirk, and she is from Copenhagen, Denmark. And I love this topic because if you are an entrepreneur, or if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, but you have this mentality where you're afraid or you're stuck or you're not sure, and so this self-doubt is overriding the reality of what you should be doing, then today is your day to listen. And so without further ado, will you please introduce yourself to us?
Yes. Yeah. 7 years ago, I got laid off. And at that point, I was so tired of corporate.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a little money because and it's usually what they do, they pay people and then they let them go. And I spent my money hiring someone who could make me a website, not really knowing what I should do, but I knew that back to corporate was not really an option. So I started my own company, not really knowing what it should be all about. But it's so easy to make a very pretty website because words, it's so easy. Mm-hmm. So the first job I got was actually to go to China and to help a huge Chinese company setting up a research park. And I was not very sure about anything. I had always been in corporate life and had huge companies backing me. And suddenly it was only me, Mette Reebirk Incorporated. And I was very insecure about, can it really be true that they really want to talk to me? But it showed up to be true. And it showed up to be that I actually know, and at that point also knew a lot of interesting stuff. And then I very small steps started to build up my company. And I helped a lot of businessmen when they had been laid off to find new positions. And I saw that a lot of them, when they got laid off, they were always, looking for a new title. And their CVs looked just like all the other CVs. Mm-hmm. And they had always been hired to be the answer to a question already formulated. So what I did was that I thought, okay, I need to help them enlarging their network because it was huge, but it was very narrow. They all knew the same kind of people. And then I started to help them also train how to ask questions. I have a funny thing coming up on my screen. Okay. And then I helped them to share their knowledge. So I became their ghostwriter. But then I also started to wonder, how come that those people here, very, very successful people, built up huge companies, sold them and everything, and still they were not very sure about if they really were good at anything. And then I also started to see what's going on in my own mindset, because I also were worried about a lot of things. If it was not my job, it was my kids and a lot of things. And then I became very curious about what is a thought and what is an emotion and what comes first. Mm. And then I dived into that 5 years ago and did a lot of research and found out that we have around 60,000 thoughts a day. And we do not have any kind of feelings without a thought. Mm-hmm. Our thoughts generate our feelings. And whenever we have an emotion, about worrying, inferiority, fearful, it's created by a thought that we in a very short moment believe to be true. Mm-hmm. But when we stop up and see that what we believe may not always be true, then those feelings of, stress and so on, they seem to evaporate. They go away. So, and then I wrote a book about it. This book, The Tipping Point. Life force comes from questioning your thoughts. We may believe that our boss is responsible for how we feel, our spouse, our kids, our friends, our neighbor, yeah, even the politicians. But actually, that's not true. It's what we believe to be true. And like, for instance, when we meet one another, I do not really meet you. I meet you through my story about you. So actually, I meet myself. And then if you don't react the way I would suppose you to react, then maybe I become upset and find it very maybe rude. Thoughts is the way we look at the world. And if we want to change the world, then we only have to change a thought.
I like that. And I think also to add to the thoughts, it's your beliefs, because if you believe a certain thing about yourself, then that creates the thought, and that then becomes the action. And then you have the outcome of whatever that is. So for example, I hate to use this example because I already did, but I have a daughter that's gluten-free, right? And
Who is what? Sorry?
Gluten-free, where she doesn't eat wheat, she doesn't eat carbs. And she has created this thing now. She's been tested for celiac. She doesn't have celiac, but I know she has a gluten intolerance because I do. But I just eat the food anyway because I like the bread, I like the pasta, and I'll deal with the pain later. But for her, it becomes very painful to the point where she's created in her mind where the worker that is making her a sandwich or whatever it is, they have to change their gloves so they can't cross-contaminate. If a crouton is on a piece of salad, or the whole salad is contaminated. And so it's like, okay, and if you think about that, this one little tiny crouton is your beliefs, right? And your thoughts that you start to have, and it can basically, in her mind, it can pollute the entire thing. So the outcome is, I can't eat this entire salad because the crouton touched a few pieces of lettuce and now the whole thing is contaminated. And so I think, like with our thoughts, it's very similar with that it really does change and affect.
But tell herself, okay, without this thought, this small crouton has, made the whole dish impossible to eat. Without that thought, I have my salad, I see this little tiny crouton or whatever. I removed it.
Yes.
And I have my salad.
Yeah.
And then I test out afterwards. Was I okay? Actually, I was fine. Huh? So what we can do, because it takes a little time and adjustment, it is to test out things.
Right.
Try to play a little with, okay, if it's really true that it's my thinking, my thoughts. Okay, without this thought, I remove it. I can always get back to it, but for now I remove it, and then I look at reality. It's also like, when someone gets fired, all my clients, they come here, and the first time they are here, they tell me many, many stories about this, the board of directors and the CEO, and but the fact is, they got fired. They got 1 year salary. And for a certain time, actually, they had already been thinking about leaving. But instead, they spend so much energy telling themselves a lot of stories that they have to maintain, because the stories become kind of how they look at themselves, their identity. It's little like your daughter. Huh? So they try to find everything that can kind of help them build around this story, even though that it may not do them any good. And until they see that it's just a thought, it's just a story.
Right. Yep.
The only thing we can, lose is a story.
Well, and I think if your thoughts start to become where you have this identity now, you've created this identity where I'm a victim. If I got laid off, I lost my job, so now I'm a victim. Now, quite frankly, if in the US they paid a year's salary, my husband just got laid off. I would love to have had a year's salary. He was done. There was no payment after that. And so how nice that they get a year's salary. But my point is that you can create these thoughts that then create an identity. And I love how you talk about thoughts. There's a gap between thoughts and reality, because just because you have these thoughts doesn't mean that it's real. I think that for many people, like I used to be the type, and quite frankly, I still am, where I can go into a group of people and I do very well one-on-one. But then when there's this group of 20 people and I start to see them all gathering together and talking and talking and talking, pretty soon I feel like I'm the only one there trying to fight to get into something. I'm like, see, I'm this reject. I'm the social reject. Why doesn't anybody want to talk to me? What is going on? And in reality, that's my own head telling me that, because I have such negative beliefs sometimes that I'm not socially awkward, or I'm not this or that. And I have to tell myself that. But the other belief is, yes, you are. And it's this constant fight, I think. And we as people, we all have something like that. The imposter syndrome that that we hear. We all struggle with something. And this, as I talk about in my book, this bad wolf is constantly feeding you. And if you don't just say, knock it off, it is very hard to overcome. And so that's the reality, that how do you bridge that gap where you're constantly feeling like I'm the social reject, but in reality, people aren't looking at me like that, because I'm like, these thoughts are coming in saying they do look at me like that. So how do you bridge that gap?
It's a little like to have a teenage kid, you treat it with love, and a little you send him up to his room,
right?
And you just, okay, now I have this thinking, because you can feel it. You have stomach problems, your heart, maybe you start to sweat. Then you know that you have to kind of question your thoughts, because this, false believing, your body tells you now it's time to question what you believe to be true. And then you play with it a little. You accept it. Okay, now you are there again, my friend. Go to your room. And then you tell yourself, okay, I'm here in this crowd of people, and without this thought that I know I have to send to his room, what is then the problem? Nah, no problem. I think this guy over there, he looks nice. I will go. I think I've met him before. And then I will go and say, hello. Have we met before? I was just thinking the same about you, my dear. And then we are in a conversation. So when we become more conscious about ourselves, and our body is telling us when there's something wrong that we need to look into, not try to run away, look at it, and okay, I have seen it, I park it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense, because you talk about questioning your thoughts, basically. And I love putting them in timeout. I'm going to put this thought in timeout. And
it's if you want to come back to it, it's there.
Yeah.
It'll fine. You know where it is, right? But now it's not very convenient, actually. I'm in the middle of something else.
Right.
So, and when you become aware of what's going on, you have this thinking here saying, oh, no, 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 no. And this, oh, come on. But to be aware of that, there must be a third one, looking at those two having, something going on. And that's your consciousness.
That's good.
And your consciousness has never really changed.
Right.
From when you were kind of 5 years old and today, there are no cells back. You have been changed so many times. But what has not been changed is kind of the consciousness. Life is like a lot of different small theater pieces that you can look at. And some of those pieces or place, they last a little longer than others. But it's not who you are, it's what you are experience.
So what are some tips to be able to create a mindset of questioning and curiosity when this negative self-talk? Because I watch, I have an 11-year-old and she's in 6th grade now. And I would say for 2 years, she just is so shy and she feels like she doesn't have any friends, but she's the sweetest girl in the world. And so she like latches onto 2 people. And sometimes those kids aren't always the best ones, but she feels like she needs to help them or she needs to do this because it makes her feel good. So how do we as people help our children, help ourselves, help our employees start to create a mindset of curiosity so that we can improve and grow into better, healthier, mentally people?
2 things. We start to listen to our body.
Okay.
If there's something that doesn't feel right, we become, have this thing in our stomach and heartbeats and can't sleep. And it's our body trying to tell us that we believe something which is not true about reality. Our employees do not like us. I'm not a good leader. My boss don't like me. The kid and the other kids, they don't like me. Become aware of that our body is an amazing app. The most amazing app ever created. But we are sometimes very, stubborn. We don't listen. Because when it feels so real, it must be real. Huh? But it isn't. It's just how our body tries to communicate with us. But we are sometimes so stubborn, a little stupid. So we create even more of noise that can hide this little inner voice that actually know that the body is trying to tell us something. So we need to listen to our body and stop up and then question what I believed in this moment where I had this feeling of, I was afraid or I was scared. And then we need to stop judging. We judge everyone. Yeah. And then we believe that they are judging us.
Yeah, that's true.
And actually, no one really cares about me. They are so busy with their own, thoughts and trying to organize everything so that they try to control everything. No one really cares about me. So if I want them to care about me, I need to care about me. And when I care about me, it's much easier for others to care about me. And then actually it's also easier for me to care about others.
I like that. I created, it's called the HAS method, HAS. So halt, when we start to have this negative thought, and I've caught myself doing this because I was raised in a hypercritical environment. And so because of that, like you don't really have the highest self-esteem. And so then you start to criticize other people, was what I recognized. And so instead of criticizing people, I thought, what can I find good about that person? And so it's the same with me. So I'm starting to have this emotion. Why am I having this emotion? Why am I having this thought? Let me acknowledge it, which is the A, and then let me shift. And so shift could be giving myself a compliment, giving them a compliment, or shifting it to where it goes from a negative to a positive. So like, I'm never going to be good enough at this, to I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Now let me see what I can do with it. Right. And so it is hard though. And it's a constant battle that it gets easier for a while.
But it's a battle because we believe that what makes us feel inferior is kind of, who we are.
Yeah. And
if we don't have that, even though that it may not be good for us, who are we then? Nothing. Huh? So when we become aware of that, what we are is kind of the consciousness. We are the one experiencing everything that lands on our plate. And in everything that lands on our plates, there's something to to learn. And actually, another thing is that we are very, very seldom present. Either we are in the past or in the future. And yesterday doesn't exist. It's passé.
Yeah.
And tomorrow doesn't exist yet. But what exists is you, Charisse, and me, Mette. This moment. And the next small moment will be created upon this small moment. And then one day when we are no longer here and sitting and having a chat with St. Peter, then maybe we will discover that we have actually not lived our life regardless if we have turned 100, because we have always been in the past or in the future, never in the present. And when we focus on the present moment, we are always okay.
Like that.
Always okay. What frightens us is tomorrow, what we believe could happen, or that we maybe could have a more happier yesterday, tomorrow. So we kind of don't really get it, this gift life is, if we don't try to become better in be more living in the present moment.
I like that. And is that, if we learn to live in the present, does it help with anxiety? Does it help with self-doubt? Does it help with self-sabotage? Or, just these destructive habits that we do to ourselves? How does living in the moment and being present help with that?
Because in the present moment, everything is okay.
Oh. Okay.
But we don't see it because we are in the future and then we create this, nightmare that, the present moment is always okay. Try to test it out for yourself. Become aware of this small moment here. Am I okay? It can be that I have just, like your husband, got laid off. He comes home and he sits down. You make him a coffee. And then he tells you, I've been laid off. Is he okay? He's sitting in your lovely home with his lovely wife with a warm cup of coffee. Yeah, he's okay. But the moment he starts to think about telling himself stories about tomorrow and next year, and I'm also this age, and maybe they don't want me, and he becomes sick.
That is so true. As a kid, I used to have a health problem. Like my stomach was always so painful. Like it hurt so bad. Went to tons of doctors. And I mean, they did find some things, but what I found was stress. It was worrying about the future, worrying about things that I couldn't control. And so that's where it was my freshman year of college where your lesson became true, because I realized how much can I control, or call it the locus of control. And if I cannot control something else beyond where I'm at, let it go. Stop worrying about it. And it was freeing. And, most recently worrying about, okay, what is this person thinking of me? What is this person thinking of me? Now I don't care. Like I can't control what you think of me, and I'm not able to change it. So the only thing I can do is be happy with myself. And am I living?
And control decide how you want to, meet your thoughts.
Right.
If there's something that you can feel in your stomach, what is it that I'm thinking now in this moment? Oh, what if my kids, they never really, become happy?
Yeah.
Okay, can I really think 100% that is true, that they will never become happy? No, not 100%. Okay. Are they okay now? Yeah, actually, they're cooking together. Yeah, they're okay. Huh? So instead of spending all your energy and your creativity and whatever, and you cannot be creative when you are afraid, actually. So when you let go of that, you become much more creative, innovative, and filled with energy, trying out stuff Like your husband, it can be that he has lost his job, but I'm sure that he had maybe learned what he should learn there.
I agree.
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
Huh? And then connect his dots in new ways.
Yeah. And look for the silver lining. Like he had the whole summer he was home with us. He starts back to work on Monday. And I'm kind of bummed about it because it's been nice having him home. So
yeah, I'm sure he liked it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great timing. But what about somebody who gets angry easily? What do you think is the reason why people can get angry easily?
The same. He or she believes something which is not correct, but which is not valid. So when she stops up and try to question, okay, I believe that when I was a kid, my mom didn't really care about me. That was awful, and she should have cared. And it can be that it was only one small incident.
That is true.
But then that small incident, she can, repeat it 10 years after.
That's true. 10, 20, 30, 50 years after.
Whatever. Yeah. And then never really forgive. Not even, her parents, because actually all parents, they try their best.
Yeah, they can.
And what they actually did, they actually gave each of us a gift, the biggest gift, and that was to enter this life. And then, when we see that it's actually we need to deal with it, and not as a. Again, when we have this, it should have been, they should, then turn it back. What was it I should have done? Or maybe, okay, I want her to forgive. I want she to forgive. But maybe it's me I should forgive.
Yeah, it's true. You mentioned that there's only one thing that we can lose. What is that?
A story.
A story?
A story. Yeah.
That's profound.
But it is, what else?
Yeah.
What else?
That's good. So if you are sitting on a park bench and you have children, right? Because you mentioned.
I have 3 and I have 2 grandchildren. So yeah.
So I want you to imagine now that you have grandchildren even, and you're just sitting there watching the day and the beautiful greenery, and this 9-month pregnant woman walks up to you, and she is going to be a mom for the very first time. Knowing what you know throughout your entire life, being a mom, what is one piece of advice that you would give her?
Enjoy. I would congratulate and enjoy.
Rose.
For me, it's be grateful. Be grateful.
I think that's good. I think that's good because we can't. And listeners, I really do want you to think about what was said today, because you can't control the future. The past is the past. And so what you have is today. And so if you are struggling with your thoughts, thinking, I don't know if I can do this, or I'm afraid to do it, or I'm really upset today because of da, da, da. It doesn't matter. But what it does matter is that you can go and you can impact your day to day. I was reading something recently that they said, say that you have $82,000 in the bank and change, like 82,708 or something. You have that much money in the bank, and somebody took $10 from you. are you going to let that $10 affect your 82,000? And the answer is no, right? But if we think about it, there's 82,000 seconds in the day, and somebody in 10 seconds has upset you, and you let that ruin the rest of your day.
Yeah.
You know, that's the part that it's just not worth it. And so
It's crazy.
Take the control. And I love your advice, because it really is your thoughts. If you can change your thoughts, you can change your actions and your beliefs. And you can change the outcome because of that. And so thank you so much for being on.
You will. There's one little thing too, and that is that when we are worried about the future, we see a lot of problems in the future. But it is rather interesting that all problems will always be solved in the present moment. Right? I cannot, tomorrow, if whatever happens, I cannot solve it today. But tomorrow, if this problem will, show up, then I have to deal with it in that moment.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
so
thank you.
Thank you too.
If our listeners wanted to find you, how would they do that?
On LinkedIn. I'm very, very open. So please approach and connect with me. And then if I may show my book again, this can be found and it's in English and it's better written than my speaking. And it's on Amazon, so it should be easy to find.
Well, thank you. And
thank you too very much.
It's just great information, and I appreciate you coming on.
I was happy to be here. Thank you very much.
And Unbreakable Moms, go out and make it a fantastic day. See you later. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.